I've always wanted to interview this next guest. This has been one of my bucket list guys, and working at the University of Alabama and having a chance to look back at a career that started 48 years ago in 1971. He is involved with the Birmingham Iron, the Alliance of American Football. We're going to talk about that. He's the general manager of the inaugural season there, just up the road in Birmingham, Alabama. Coach Joe Pendry, I hope you're having a great afternoon, sir. Welcome back to T-Town.
Well, thank you much. I'm actually in San Antonio. We're in training camp and here for till the 1st of February, and then come back and kick it off on February 10th against the Memphis Express at Legion Field there in Birmingham.
Absolutely. You know, I'm really excited because there's so many great players that I was looking through your roster earlier today, and a lot of names that are familiar with Alabama fans here in Tuscaloosa, having a chance to maybe stay in football and maybe even launch their continue their football career.
Yeah, we have a bunch of SEC players, a bunch of Alabama guys who have had a shot in the NFL, and for one reason or the other, they didn't stay on the rosters. So we're hoping to give those guys another opportunity, Ryan. That's what this AAF is about, to give guys a chance to go play so the NFL can see them actually compete in games and evaluate them, because if they're on a practice roster in the NFL, they don't get to play games. All they do is practice. So now they can see them compete, and that's what we want. We want these guys to have a chance to improve and maybe get on an NFL roster.
Coach, when you look at coaching and the impact of what you're able to do, and the minute I start featuring you, I started getting text messages from people listening, and certainly you're a friend of a lot of different people. But what is the most rewarding part of the profession that you've been a part of for 48 years? You're approaching 50 years of being in this business. What's the most rewarding thing that you've got from this game of football that we love so much?
Well, there have been so many things, Ryan, but to see a young man have a dream, aspiration, and then to be able to help him achieve it, whether he becomes an NFL player or a doctor or attorney or an electrician after he's played. I think as a coach that you have an opportunity to mold these guys and help them grow a little bit, and probably more so in college than in the NFL. But in the NFL and in this league, they're still young men, and you do have a chance to influence them and help shape them a little bit. And that's been very rewarding to me over the years, to maybe coach players who I coached their father also. So I feel very honored and fortunate to be able to be involved in this game for that amount of time.
Coach, who got you into coaching? Who convinced you that this was the path that you would launch this career that you've had?
Well, actually, it was Bobby Bowden. I played at Western University, got hurt, couldn't play anymore, and I think I was probably going down the wrong path in life after I found out I couldn't play anymore. And Coach Bowden was the offensive coordinator, and I was a tight end. I had played for him. And then he told me, he said, you need to come over here and start. If you can't play, help me. So what I did is I'd wash his car or go get his lunch or do whatever it took as a student assistant, and found out I enjoyed it. And then I became a graduate assistant. Coach Bowden got the head job and hired me to work for him. So it was. I've told him several times since then, it's your fault that I've been in this long. But it was definitely Coach Bobby Bowden.
What a class that he is. We have a chance to feature him a couple of times a year, and when I call him up, he acts like he knows me, that I've just been a part of his life forever. I mean, he's just an awesome individual is Coach Bobby Bowden. He
is. I've had a good fortune to work with and for some outstanding people, and a lot of guys do it a lot of different ways. And three that come to mind right off the bat would be Coach Bowden early on in my career, and then I had a chance to work with Bill Polian when I was running the offense at the Carolina Panthers, and he was the general manager. And then working with my friend and guy I've known forever, Nick Saban, and those three people, they are at the top of the heap in this business that we're in, and I've had a great fortune to be around those people.
Coach, as you name some of those legendary coaches, is there one common characteristic that all of them have? And I know they're different in their ways, but is there one common characteristic that you see that are similar?
Yeah, there is. And people won't realize this because they see the external factors in a coach. But all three of those guys, they really care about people. They care about their players. They all show it differently, but they care about the people, and they're concerned about their welfare, and they follow them as they go on. All three of those guys have that same characteristic. Bobby Bowden, who is 80-some years old, Bill Polian, who's been a very successful general manager in the NFL, and of course with Nick Saban there, with what he's done in his career and what he's still doing. But they all three care about their players. They care about people.
Coach, when you look back at those West Virginia roots, whether we're talking about Jimbo Fisher, whether we're talking about Bobby Bowden, Coach Nick Saban, yourself, how much was it the work ethic of West Virginia people? I mean, when I think about West Virginia people, I think about people that get up and work with a strong work ethic, and it seems that all of you guys out of West Virginia have been able to carry that on the football side of things too.
Well, that's probably a part of it. Like Nick's father wasn't a coal miner like my father was a coal miner. My family were all coal miners, and they went to work at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, so that's what you knew. Nick Saban's dad ran a service station, and Nick worked in it, and it was a work ethic. And not that everybody, I think, from West Virginia had it, but it was instilled in me from my family, and I know from Nick it was. And Bobby Bowden's originally from Birmingham, but he was the same way. And the work ethic, I think, and not just us. There are a lot of people from all over the country. Alabama's like the way I grew up. People work hard. They got a lot of pride in their area, and so it's not just the West Virginia route.
Coach, coming up in just a couple of weeks, actually 17 days, when you talk about the Alliance getting started, the Birmingham Iron, the season that you talked about, Birmingham's going to be hosting that first game against Memphis. What's going to make this league being able to stand? Because I've watched the way that you guys have took your time and built this program. We've heard about the Alliance. We're still learning for all of us in this inaugural season. But what is going to be different about this league that's allowed it to build a foundation that will be able to continue and the success of you guys of building a strong foundation?
Well, first of all, the people who are in it, there are a lot of people with a lot of experience backing this thing, and guys like Bill Polian, who I mentioned, and ex-NFL executives and general managers, and on our coaching staff here, everybody has some NFL experience, and all those experiences, and then the fact that we're a single entity league, which means the investors own it, so we're not just counting on one source of income, and the organization that's set up to last. Because we're not going in to challenge the NFL, Ryan. What we're doing is trying to improve the players so they can go on to the next level to play to the NFL. And as we go about that, people are going to see that it is very organized professional football. It's not a fly-by-night. It's not going to be all these trinkets, and it's going to be football with the safety of the player in mind and with making the player better. For example, we're not going to have kickoffs in our league because that's a dangerous part of the game, kickoff, return. We're going to make it exciting, but we're not going to kick extra points. Every time you score, you got to go for two. We're doing some exciting things in the league, and we're also worried about the safety of the play.
We're talking to Coach Joe Pendry right now, and Coach, I want to pick your brain a little bit about offensive line play. When you talk about your specialty, something that you know a lot about, when you look at the current direction of football, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the college game, whether it's the Alliance League, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of this, the RPO, the up-tempo, how does that impact offensive line play and evaluation, even at your level of scouting, trying to find those guys when you look at the RPO and the guys down the field and trying to evaluate that? How has that impacted offensive line play as a unit?
It really has not, Ryan. People think it has, but the RPO stands for run pass option. So that R part of it is still run. The game, as long as they put pads and a helmet on, you better be able to come off the ball and hit somebody in the mouth. And you better be able to play physical. Because if you run a RPO and you don't have the ability to run it, the PO part of that is gone. So that part of it has not changed. Now, people do it differently. Some people in three-point stance, some in a two-point stance. Some have a tight end involved. Some have two tight ends. But from watching, whether it's high school, college, the NFL, when you saw the games this past weekend with New England especially, you still have to be physical with your front 5 or 6 on offense and with your front 5 to 7 on defense. And that part of it won't change. What has changed a little bit is the fact that you can run it or throw it. But it has not changed the fundamentals of the front. You still got to be able to come off the ball and block people.
Well, and I think that's when we look back at that 2009 team, and maybe that's the next question. When you look at the early success, you were here when Coach Saban launched this program. It's one of the greatest dynasties this sport's ever seen. You guys were able to win it in the third year, win a national title, and put Alabama back where a lot of fans expect this program should be.
Yeah, and at that time we did what our personnel dictated, and Nick and Coach Saban has decided. I call him Nick because we've been friends for so long.
Sure.
Decided that we needed to establish our will, and to do that, you've got to be physical. And so that's what we were going to do when we started this program, and use the personnel that we had in offensive and defensive schemes that fit them, but we were going to be physical doing it. And as they've gone down through the years, it's still stayed physical, but when you have the quarterback that they have now and the receivers, then the RPOs come into it, but the front still has to be physical.
Well, I'll give you a statement that Mark May told me many, many years ago during your championship run here in Tuscaloosa. He said, we know exactly what Alabama's going to do, and every other defensive coordinator knows what they're going to do. There's just nothing they can do about it. And he goes, that's what makes Alabama so good, is you guys imposed your will on those other teams.
Yeah, and Mark May played for me at Pitt. Did you know that,
Yes,
Brian?
sir. Yes, sir, I did. Yes, sir, I did.
He was one of those kind like that was a physical offensive lineman back in the 70s, and so he could recognize it when he saw it.
Coach, final question. When you look at Coach Nick Saban, and I know I've asked you this question about being successful, but when we ask him to reflect on these championships, he always talks about the disappointment. I mean, he uses the statement, I hate to lose more than I like to win. I think all the great ones do have that in common. But it's just amazing. I mean, I've been an Alabama fan from since I was born in 1978 and watching this. But just to see this up close, this dynasty, it's just remarkable. I mean, to see what you guys were able to accomplish here at Alabama, and that you were such a important role in this. It's hard to describe. It's kind of hard to put it in words. Did you even see a lot of this coming? I mean, I don't know anybody saw 5 championships in 10 years, but did you see something special in what Nick Saban was doing early on that has allowed him to have this success?
Well, I've known Nick for so long. I knew he was special. He's passionate, very intelligent, cares about the players, a hard worker. He has all those attributes that it takes to be as successful as he has been. But Ryan, I do agree with Nick on one thing, that you remember all those ugly ones, those bad ones. I can go back through my career, the ones at Alabama that in 2008, when we went over in Florida beat. I mean, I look back at those and all those losses. I remember in the NFL when I was at the Cleveland Browns and we lost to Denver, AFC Championship, the drive and the fumble. I mean, those things, not all those games we won. So that's probably a negative part of this business. No matter how much success you have, that you remember that time that you didn't. But and try to answer your question, I think that I didn't know what the future held when we first went there, but we're going to work every day to be as good as we could be. And I knew with the leadership that Nick gave the program that it would be good.
Coach Joe Pendry, this is an absolute treat to be able to talk with you. I'm excited because I know the stamp that you're going to take on it of what you helped here in Tuscaloosa in the Birmingham Iron and the Alliance Football League. If you give the stamp of credibility, I think that's that instant credibility that team's going to have, and I'm sure they'll adopt that personality as the general manager. I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be able to accomplish in this inaugural year, and I wish you continued success, and this has been an absolute treat to be able to catch up with you, sir.
Well, thank you much, Ryan, and I'd like to invite all the people to come down at 1 o'clock on February the 10th, and let's just maybe get kicked off.
Hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a lot of fun. Memphis is going to be coming to Birmingham. And tell people that they can go to the website. It's AAF.com. You find the Birmingham Iron. That's the best way to get tickets, right, Coach?
That's right. And these tickets are going to be affordable. We want people to be able to bring their family out and come out and enjoy a good afternoon. And our games have been dictated. They'll be over in 2 hours and a half. They've been set. That's what CBS has told us. We're going 2 hours and a half. We're playing 4 quarters, and if we got 2 overtime.
Well, we're excited about it, Coach, and we're excited to see some of these guys that Alabama fans are going to be familiar with. A lot of SEC players. Blake Sims is one of the quarterbacks that's going to be playing for that special playing time, and so many other guys that have that Alabama connection. Coach Joe Pendry, thank you again for being a part of the show. I hope you have a great afternoon, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day, Ryan.